Hello, welcome to Spark Joy Astrology, and welcome to my office. This is where all the astrological magic goes down, and I don't think I've ever actually shot a video from this space, so welcome. My name is Joy, and I am so excited to break down this Mercury retrograde with you. This is definitely some grand finale firework show action at the end of 2023. Mercury's retrograde is like the song of 2023, and this particular part is where you get all the drum solo, the guitar solo, all these big peak moments coming into one beautiful ending. And oh my gosh, I am excited to get to the end point because wow, when Mercury comes to the 8th degree of Capricorn, ending the post-shadow phase, we have the ingress of Pluto moving into Aquarius. It's a big cycle ending and beginning on the same day. Mercury ending its cycle and Pluto beginning its 2044-year adventure in Aquarius. So definitely some big fireworks at the end. And I've given you a little too much about that, but there will be more at the end, friends. You definitely want to stay tuned. But we're going to start at the beginning, and that is on November 25th. Mercury came to 22 degrees of Sagittarius on this day. Mercury represents our communication. It's how we analyze information, see all the puzzle pieces of our lives. It is the detail-oriented energy. It's also a bit trickster-like. Mercury can be like the wily coyote of the cosmos. And so when Mercury goes retrograde, friends, we often find miscommunication is ripe. There is challenge when it comes to commerce. My lovely example of this is last night, my family and I went to Chipotle, and as we're standing in a very long line, we get the announcement that the credit card machine is not working and only people with cash can stay, which was so very trickster-like Mercury working his magic in a retrograde. And so here we go. Mercury began this whole cycle on the 25th of November. Not going retrograde first, though. What happens before a retrograde is a planet will venture through the degrees in which it will actually retrograde through. So on the 25th, when Mercury got to 22 degrees of Sagittarius, it marked the beginning of the retrograde phase. Mercury moving forward came to the degree of 8 in Capricorn on December 13th. So the pre-shadow phase was 22 degrees, November 25th, up until 8 degrees of Capricorn on December 13th. If you can think back to your own life between November 25th and December 13th, the topics that came up are ripe for this next few weeks as Mercury moves back down through those degrees and then back up those degrees. So what happens, friends, is that Mercury will be making aspects to the slower moving planets in the same place that it made it in the 3 different phases. So what's happening is that Mercury is making an aspect by square to Neptune, a sextile to Saturn, and a trine to Jupiter 3 times. I did a video, you can check it out, when Mercury made its first trine to Jupiter because it's very lucky, beautiful, communicative, flowing energy. I had to highlight it. But what is very fun, friends, is the second time Mercury is doing that is tomorrow on December 18th. But I jump ahead. Let's go back a little bit and actually talk about what these 3 aspects to these 3 planets, what this chain of events is sparking off in our life. All right, so on November 27th, Mercury made the first square to Neptune. Neptune is going retrograde, but is about to end that particular cycle and move into post-shadow phase. That happens a week after this aspect happens. On December 6th, it happened. So, but December 27th, look back to your life. Where were you maybe having to look at some challenging things around your belief system, around your goals, around your desires and your dreams? Neptune going retrograde in Pisces has had us looking at where we want to point our destiny as far as dreams and hopes and visions. And when Neptune goes direct on December 6th, we feel that forward momentum. But this particular aspect with Mercury happens before that. So at this point on November 27th, we have to be asking ourselves, can we actually pull this off? Are we going to be able to make our dreams manifest? Whew, okay, then December 2nd, Mercury came into the sextile. This is a positive aspect with Saturn, giving us the chutzpah to know that yes, you can make your dreams happen, but you're going to have to be wise about it. Perhaps there is more information that you need to glean, more research that you need to do, more conversations that you need to have. So look at those and work that into your timeline. How are you going to give yourself the self-discipline to do the work, to have the conversations? So December 2nd, that was when that energy came in. And then on December 6th, Neptune goes direct in Pisces, really giving us a sense of, oh my gosh, I think I can actually see how my dream is going to come into fruition, how this next stage of my life is going to work. Then friends, December 7th, this is my favorite day, and I did the video a little bit ago, so check it out. Mercury came into the trine with Jupiter. And on this day, big communication opens up. The ability to take our dreams, our big ideas, and give them momentum happened on December 7th. In my own life, it corresponded with the day that my husband gave a pitch on an entrepreneurial project that we've been working on. And it was a big peak of multiple months of my husband being a part of this veteran think tank group. And so, of course, the cosmos would align his pitch date on that expansive communicative day. So look back to your own life. December 7th was most definitely a highlight of this Mercury retrograde. And the great thing is that we'll get to have that aspect happen 2 more times. So diving into the next peak day, and that is December 13th. On this day, Mercury did go retrograde at 8 degrees of Capricorn. We have to look at what's happening in the house of Capricorn. Well, this is where Pluto is. And if you remember back to the beginning of the video, Pluto is a big part of the end of Mercury's retrograde. Well, what Pluto's doing here at the end of Capricorn is really sitting with all that's been happening in this house as Pluto's been traversing through it since 2008. It's at the end of its cycle. It is gleaning all the wisdom that it has learned, that it has earned during this 15-year cycle. And Pluto in Capricorn, at a collective level, Capricorn is this strong, wise, feminine, earth energy. And in our own collective, Pluto has been transforming how we see this wise woman energy in our own selves. And what it's really amplified is the ability to use our voices, to speak our truth, and to stand in our power. That's what Pluto, who has drudged up from the depths of our psyche collectively, these parts that we've not been loving. And that was the Me Too movement. That was Black Lives Matter. Wherever we have yin energy that's been repressed on our planet, Pluto showed us that. And we've been doing the work over the last 15 years to really balance the yin and the yang. And especially this last year, friends, as Jupiter has been working some magic with Uranus in Venus's home of Taurus. We have been seriously rewriting the way that we show up in our own relationship to the feminine. So a big, exciting time for Mercury to glean all the wisdom from Pluto. At 8 degrees, Mercury starts to go backwards, starts to look as if it's going backwards from our vantage point here on Earth. What happens in a retrograde is the planet, because of the orbit, looks as if it's backing up. But what it's doing is it's moving between the sun when it's retrograding. And that means it's closer to us here on Earth, and we feel that energy more intensely. So that Wile E. Coyote energy is intensified, hence things that are strange at Chipotle with the credit card machine. But we feel this slowdown and this focus on communicating. Internal focus. Retrogrades have us go inward, to slow down, to revisit, to revise. Oftentimes with Mercury being the planet of communication, people from our past will come into our lives to tie bows on conversations that needed to happen that didn't. We revisit things to heal them, to look at them. And so with this strengthened Mercury energy, we definitely have the opportunity to check in internally as well with our guides, with our angels, with our ancestors, and to have these important conversations. And we're working with dreams, friends. We're working with aligning to a new dawning of an age as Pluto does move into Aquarius and starts the process of shadow work in the Aquarian collective consciousness energy of ourselves, so that we can actually usher in the Aquarian age. You know, there's a song about it. It's gonna be juicy. We're like the soldiers who are doing the dirty work to bring in that high level of energy. So with this pendulum swing, we are now working with our lovely Mercury working retrograde back down to 22 degrees. So as he's working his way back down, he's going to reverse the way he came into contact with our three main players. That is Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune. So in reverse order, he's going to come into contact with Jupiter first. December 18th, friends, I've already said it. This is the day that is beautiful communication, the forward momentum of our dreams, the alignment of the big picture and the way to do it. This is where Mercury comes into a trine with Jupiter. Jupiter's retrograde. He was the first time they made their contact, but now so is Mercury. What this really asks us to do, friends, is journal about this expansive plan that we have formulating towards our dreams. How do we want to cross the T's and dot the I's when it comes to making that plan happen? It's a beautiful time to connect to your guides, to your higher wisdom. So meditating on December 18th to have that grand communicative energy flowing with your guides is really potent and beautiful. Pluto handing in all that information is kind of gorgeous, but what is also beautiful about December 13th is that the moon was conjunct Mercury, really highlighting an emotional connection to all of this day, this potency of Mercury. Whew, very, very highlighted with the moon conjunction there. All right, then we move on to December 21st. Whew. All right, friends, let's just back it up a little bit. When Mercury goes retrograde on December 13th, while he's going retrograde, there are some momentous things that go down. Number one, the solstice. That's where I'm getting to here on December 21st. We have Mercury making eximi with the sun, so going through the retrograde process of death and rebirth, but being reborn the day after the solstice. We also have Mercury making a conjunction to Mars. Mars recently went through the rebirth and death process, so has been charged with this new electrified energy when it comes to reaching through for our goals, doing the work, having the passion and the ambition to get there. Whew! But then we also have the full moon that goes down at the end of the month while Mercury is going retrograde. So a lot of potent internal intel is being gathered while this cycle is happening. All right, so on December 21st, the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere goes down, and that is when the sun moves into Capricorn. I've already touched on Capricorn as this wise feminine earth energy. It is the queen bee energy. It is very cold in the fact that it's ruled by Saturn, meaning serious, taskmaster oriented. Let's get things done so that we can survive through the harshness of winter. And that's what this sun entering Capricorn is ushering in a time of winter, a time of reflection. It represents the adult energy. Hello, Capricorn, the foundations of how we survive, right? So here we are taking stock of this year that's come in 2023, all that we've gone through, all that's wizened us up to, be that strong, foundational, proud energy in our lives. So as the sun moves into Capricorn at 0 degrees, it finds Mercury at 1 degrees of Capricorn. So they come into this beautiful embrace on the day of the solstice. What is also beautiful about this day is it is the second time that Mercury, now going retrograde, makes the sextile to Saturn. And oh, friends, is some magic happening with Saturn. Saturn in Pisces has recently gone direct a few weeks ago and is working to bring in a new reality, a reality that is more aligned to the yin, to this spiritual awakening that we've been going through as far as how we relate to the feminine on our planet. Hello, Barbie movie. All of that was a part of this shift that Saturn is locking in on the 21st during the solstice. What is happening, friends, is Saturn is making that sextile to Mercury. Mercury is holding hands with the sun, but Saturn is also making a sextile to the moon. And the moon is opposite from the sun because they're actually trining. I'm sorry, it's not the full moon. They'll get to that point on December 26th when they're opposite at the full moon. But at this point, they're still trining, making this very harmonious, expansive, lucky tie between the moon and the sun. And the sextile of Saturn to the moon is creating what is called a mini trine. So it's a trine connecting Mercury and the moon, a sextile connecting Mercury and Saturn connecting through a sextile to the moon. So this beautiful mini trine, or a tiny triangle, is very flowing, harmonious energy. And what is so very beautiful about it also, friends, is that the moon, who is a part of anchoring in that mini trine, is conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter going retrograde, but about to end that cycle. What Jupiter has been doing, friends, it's so beautiful, has been working in cahoots with Uranus in Taurus, Venus's home, to expand our belief systems, to revolutionize the way that we show up in our relationships, that we relate with the feminine, the way that we express creativity, and the way that we believe, our belief systems, our values have all been deeply transformed since this summer, with our beautiful Venus leading the way with a heart expansive revolution as she retrograded in the house of the heart in Leo this summer. So, wow, Jupiter coming into that conjunction with the moon on the winter solstice, who is making this mini trine with the sun and Mercury as they're holding hands, and Saturn, is basically telling us, friends, that our plans are good, that they are viable, that we can make them come into reality through really shifting the way that we have this relationship with the feminine within our own selves and within the collective as well. So what a beautiful trine that the moon and the sun are making, this expansive quality between the yin and the yang. And then also on the winter solstice, I'm going to do a full video on it, but I have to touch on the fact that Neptune, who's co-present in the house of Pisces with Saturn, is making some serious aspects: a square to the galactic center, a square to Mars, a trine to Venus, and a sextile to Uranus. We're getting a download, friends. That's really what this winter solstice is about. With Mercury holding hands with the sun, we are ripe for downloads from the cosmos, from this galactic center energy. If you're not familiar with the galactic center, I like to equate it to the umbilical cord of the cosmos. It's how we are being fed energy. And at this particular point, I'm feeling as if we're being pushed a whole new level of vibration into our cosmos for these plans to bring them into reality. So, wow, friends, how fun. This house of Pisces has been invigorated with Saturn and Neptune going direct recently. So wow, 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 wow. Solstice energy is powerful for downloads. Make sure you are doing some ceremony of some sort on this sacred day when the darkest night, the longest dark night, the longest night happens. Yin energy, we're seeping in creative energy here, friends. So yes to those plans. Yes, yes, yes. All right, the next day on Friday the 22nd is when Mercury and the Sun actually come together at the same degree. So 0 degree, wow, 0 degrees. That's a huge new beginning marker place. So how special that Mercury makes this rebirth moment coming into the Cazimi, into the chariot of the Sun on the 22nd, the day after the solstice at the 0 degree mark. Hello, big astrology, big beginnings, big new energy of this pendulum shift from the toxic patriarchy through this more connective feminine energy and into a bit more balance, friends. Wow, how special. And this is also the halfway point of the retrograde. When the Mercury comes into that rebirth moment of holding hands with the Sun, it is reborn, a whole new Mercury, a whole new way of relating with the way that we think, you know? So this rebalancing of yin and yang, this new way of the way that we analyze and communicate. And oh, friends, really using our voices, stepping into our truth and speaking it. That rebirth is really viable at this point. So now Mercury is going to be coming into Sagittarius. The next day on the 23rd, yes, the re-entering happens. Mercury takes all that potent energy from the solstice, from the rebirth of the Sun, and moves into Sagittarius. All the intel of Pluto, boom, we're coming into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is expansive, adventurous energy where we planted potent new moon seeds the day before Mercury went retrograde. So that was December 12th. Big new moon seeds were planted because Sagittarius is about that adventure. It's about going big and expanding. And so these new moon seeds are fertilized with that potent Pluto intel as Mercury moves into Sagittarius. All right, and here it goes. On the 26th, the full moon in Cancer goes down. And this is where Mercury is really able to check in with those full new moon seeds. Whenever a new moon happens, 2 weeks after, the culmination point happens at the full moon, one of the culmination points, but the first check-in to see where those seeds are ripening. And so how perfect, friends, that at this particular point, Mercury is making a conjunction with Mars. Mars and Mercury are holding hands on the full moon. They're at 4 degrees apart, but they are definitely close enough to be causing some fire, some passionate energy to be flowing on this full moon. We also have the second square to Neptune. Remember, this was where we met some challenge with our dreams. And so holding faith, friends, on this full moon. The full moon is a bit of a mixed bag of energy. So it is asking us to keep the faith, to lean into the feminine, the unseen aspects of reality. We're kind of working to rewrite our belief systems, our patterns of doing life. That's what, since the summer, Venus has been working to redo. So at this point, we're being tested with our faith, with our ability to lean into trust. So on the full moon, there may be some fiery tension around that trust, but lean into it, friends, because we also have a beautiful trine to Neptune by way of Venus. So pushing into this trust is really being supported as well. So you can do it, friends. But then on the 27th, Mercury and Mars come into their complete conjunction. So they're no longer 4 degrees apart. They're right in exact conjunction. And this is when Mercury is now also visible in the very early morning sky. So Mercury and Mars, look very early in the morning at and see if you can see them together. But this is the rebirth of Mercury, holding hands with the warrior, charging forth towards our ambitions. And wow, how beautiful, right? Passion and courage, the chutzpah to do it. We got it. And then, one of my favorite days of the year, one I've been waiting for, December 30th, friends. So we've gotten this rebirth energy. We're charging forward. And on December 30th, Jupiter goes direct at 5 degrees of Taurus. All of this big internal love revolution gets the forward momentum that we've been waiting for. So very special in the fact that Venus, who's been hosting this revolution, is also moving out of where she's debilitated at in Scorpio and into Sagittarius, where Mercury's been hanging out now. And we also have Mars hanging out, right? Mars and Mercury just had that rebirth moment. Now Venus enters into Sagittarius. The lovers are in the same house. Hallelujah! A moment I've been waiting for. I love tracking the lovers, and the last time they were together was on July 10th and 11th, depending on your time zone, in the house of Leo, right before she worked into that big retrograde, revolutionizing a lot of the way us feminine show up, speaking our truth, owning our power, speaking our truth. All of that really started when Venus and Mars were back together in the same house. So now, as she comes into the house of Sagittarius, where we've been planting these dreams of a more balanced life, her and Mars feel each other. They don't actually get to engage with a conjunction, but they're in the same house. They can feel one another's energy. They do come into a conjunction a few months later in Aquarius, where Pluto's moving. I mean, how beautiful is that? But they do come together at 6 degrees in Aquarius on February 22nd. So there's some magic to be had, friends. The last time they came together, the lovers, in a close enough engagement where we call it a union, was on March 6th of 2022. So a big love story has been happening as Venus has been chasing Mars, trying to create this pendulum shift to go down. And it's like happening on December 30th as she comes into this house. It's not quite, happening as in union until February 22nd, but they're getting a little bit of taste here. So very exciting day indeed. And then the next day on January 1st, after all this awesomeness happens, Mercury goes direct. And gets to work up from 22 degrees of Sag back up to 8 degrees of Capricorn, come into the third engagement with our characters, Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter. And so, here we go, friends, climbing to that grand finale fireworks show. On January 8th, Mercury makes the square to Neptune. Mercury now going direct with all the planting of the seeds intel, all of the good inner work. We've got that under our belt. So now when the square to Neptune happens, we're much more able to discern the path, feel the challenges, but feel much more confident. There's like forward momentum now, where before we were kind of in these stagnant waters as Mercury was in pre-shadow and retrograde phase. So at this point, we shall be feeling much better with this square. There's still some tension and challenge to see, but we are given much more of a forward leap into those dreams. And on January 18th, Saturn coming into the sextile to Mercury going direct really puts the plan into forward momentum. The plan, that's what Saturn's been having us work on. That's what that solstice, balancing, expansive yin and yang energy was about. The plan is in forward motion, and on January 18th, really making last little checks to your plan. Do I have it all figured out? Because the next day, January 19th, is when you put the plan into motion, friends. whatever you've been working on, if you can communicate it out into the world on January 19th, you will be effectively riding the energetic wave. Whatever it is, whatever love revolution, the way you show up in relationships, the way you earn money, your beliefs around femininity can really get that big idea push into harmonious conversations, into big ideas getting momentum on January 19th when Jupiter trines Mercury, both of them going direct at this point. Just really a culmination of a lot of cycles coming into forward momentum. And then the big fireworks show happens the next day on January 20th. Whoo! Here we are, friends. This is where Mercury finally comes to the 8th degree of Capricorn, ending the whole fireworks show at the same time that the sun comes into a conjunction with Pluto and ushers Pluto into Capricorn together. The sun, the cosmos, this alignment is definitely highlighting this day as something special. It's special already when Pluto moves into a new house to create a whole new dynamic energy. But when the sun is there highlighting this movement, you know it's a big deal. So all that you've been formulating with this Venus love revolution, a new project for humanity, a new way of being in your own life, this is the time, friends, that it is shifting. If you want to know your own chart and really hone in on this potent new beginning, new ending, I would love to work with you. I can speak to you through Zoom or here in person. But this is something special, friends. And it's so special that I actually, I looked at my teaching schedule. I teach yoga, and it magically aligns often with peak days, astrologically speaking. And unfortunately, I do not teach on the Saturday that Pluto ingresses into Aquarius. And I was like, oh my God, well, I have got to teach yoga. So I went out, did some Martian chutzpah energy to find a space, not at my typical teaching spot at Yoga Pod, but at this beautiful building, old, lovely building called The Grange here in Fort Collins. And I will be teaching a special class that will be flowing in honor of this dawning of a new age, of a expansive Pluto transit. It's exciting, friends, and the end of Mercury. Fireworks. We got to celebrate the fireworks. So if you would like to join me, there is a link down below in the description to sign up for that special Pluto Power Up yoga class. But I am just so excited also to offer chart readings. So reach out to me if you want to know about how it's affecting you personally. I love you so much, and I'm so excited to be alive at this point in time where we're here. We're here to do the work, to usher in a new time, to swing the pendulum from toxic patriarchy into a more balanced place where we are empowered to use our voices and to bring in a whole new level of truth and reality. I love you so much, sending you so much joy, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.